Hi everyone, Steve here. Welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musings, still toe deep into issues of Platonic thought and how it influences the church. In the last episode, I left you with the idea that Plato's concept of the soul, pre-existent and perfect knowledge, defined what it meant to be a human, that you can't be really human without understanding these things, and that the higher calling of the philosopher was to reach a true human potential. Now we're starting to circle the wagons to come in for a landing at this shallow presentation of his thought, one or two more episodes. And one source that I have on this topic is so good that I'm just going to read these few passages to you in this episode of Monday Morning Musing. Now remember, we're continuing on from the thought of, are you even human if you don't realize these things? The rational nature of the soul with its knowledge seemed to Plato to have always existed in the soul. Otherwise, the human soul existed in eternity in perfect knowledge. This became for Plato one of his strongest arguments for the immortality of the soul. The doctrine of reminiscence, otherwise not resurrection, not glorification, but the key is to remember who you truly were in eternity past. Together with the doctrine of the subconscious soul, otherwise this soul is really there, but it's being repressed by your body, with its latent knowledge, was an argument for the immortality of the soul that Plato used all through his writings, including into his later works. Plato points out that true knowledge of the soul, as understood by this rational principle, are the true objects of knowledge which give harmony and meaning and order to experience. It is the rational principle in the soul which recognizes knowledge as absolute. Does this not make some of the Pauline admonitions? See, we're stepping into Paul's philosophical world now. Plato also believed that since the soul was pre-existent, supreme, and self-moving, he never ceases to tire of long discourses regarding the pre-existence of the soul and other things, because it lies at the heart of his argument of the soul's true nature. And it gives him a metaphysical answer to one of the first causes of movements. Remember, God's the original mover, and everything moves from him. The physical philosophers held as their answer to the primary cause of being. Why are we alive? Because the original mover moved on us. The following is a citation from the early Socratic stage of his writing, which he clearly points out the pre-existent nature of the soul as being before all things, and the soul ordered all things, and the soul provides the basics of his metaphysics, his ethics, and his epistemology, otherwise his doctrine of truth and her origins. Now this is a quote. The soul then, as being immortal, and having been born again many times. That's all over the movies. Many lives, right? And having seen all things that exist, whether in this world or the world below, has knowledge of them all. And it is no wonder that she should be able to call to remembrance all that she ever knew about virtue and about everything. For as all nature is related, the soul has learned all things. And if a human is strenuous and doesn't faint, all inquiries will awaken the recollection of who they truly are. Again, that is all over Facebook and social media. You have to discover who you truly are. There's a veneer of Christianity painted over it, discovering your identity, your identity, your identity. Going into the second period of the Platonic writings, one finds a strong emphasis upon the uncreated uncreated, pre-existent nature of the soul, these being seen in part only by the ideas which we possess. And since we have these ideas must have come from a previous state of existence. And I'm going to quote Plato again. Then may we not say that if, as we are always repeating, there is absolute beauty and goodness, an absolute essence of all things, and if to this which is now discovered to have existed in our former state, we refer all our sensations with these and compare them to them, finding that all our ideas to be pre-existent and our inborn possession, and our souls had prior existence. I am convinced of this necessity. Now, in his Middle Platonic writings, he clearly begins to develop his own position, and we even find stronger emphasis upon the pre-existent, self-moving, divine nature of the human soul. And I'm going to read a little bit of that and then wrap up his sessions. In one of his writings, he puts even stronger emphasis upon the pre-existent, self-moving, divine nature of the soul. Quote, "The soul, through all her being, is immortal, for that which is ever in motion is immortal. But that which moves another and is moved by another ceases to move, also ceases to live. Only the self-moving and never-leaving self is the fountain and beginning of all motion and being." Now listen to this, still quoting. "But if the self-moving is proved to be immortal, he who affirms that self-motion is the very idea and essence of the soul will not be put to shame. Otherwise, believe what I'm teaching, and you can't go wrong in your meditations. For the body which is moved from without is soulless, but that which is moved from within has a soul. This is the nature of the soul." In all of this, Plato is asserting the soul has existed forever. It shares in essence its divine nature, and our true existence is in realizing where we really come from, our pre-existent soul. This is all over Facebook, and I'll see you the next time.